Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is playing out this short-term cool-off after seeing some of these short-term bearish signals. But we have seen all of this happen before, only last year. So I'll be talking about that in just a moment, but quickly recapping the short-term bearish signals that I've been talking about over the past 2 days. First of all, on the 4-hour time frame, we have the bearish divergence between the price action and the Bitcoin RSI. And not only that, looking in the 4-hour MACD, we were starting to trend to the downside here in the shorter term. And realistically speaking, these signals were enough to predict a short-term cool-off in the price of Bitcoin, but we also had a bearish signal here on the 12-hour time frame for Bitcoin, which was the parabolic stop and reverse indicator flipping bearish here on this time frame. And in fact, when you're looking in the price oscillators on the 12-hour time frame, for example, in the RSI, we reached into overbought territories, so that alone was telling us that we are due for a bit of a short-term cool-off. And also in the 12-hour MACD, we have just seen a bearish cross, which is obviously a short-term bearish signal. And obviously none of this is new for the subscribers out there because I have been talking about this over the past 2 days or so, but it's actually good to see some short-term cool-offs here and there so that we can reset indicators like the RSI back down towards neutral values so that we have some more room to the upside later on. And also what I've been mentioning over the past couple days is the VPVR indicator on the daily time frame, because we've got a massive range of resistance starting at just underneath 46,000 US dollars per Bitcoin, and that is going up towards around 49,000. And so obviously it was only a couple days ago that we saw a rejection from pretty much that exact lower level. And right now we are running into a bit of short-term support here in this indicator coming in at around 42,000. But if we break below 42,000 with confirmation, then our next major point of support, according to this indicator and also according to previous price action, would be coming in closer towards 40,000. But while we're here on the daily time frame for Bitcoin, I thought it's important to mention that we have seen very similar price action to this only just last year, back at the end of July leading into the beginning of August 2021. First of all, if I zoom out a little bit further, you can see the massive amount of bearish price action that we saw in around the middle of last year. And then when Bitcoin finally bottomed out and began the recovery, it was very fast to begin with, leaving a lot of traders and investors very confused, especially if they were more on the bearish side. And then after going on that fast bullish move to the upside, which by the way was around 40% to the upside from the low, we then entered into a short-term cool-off, which we saw a retracement of around 11% to the downside approximately, before we then began a continuation in this recovery to the upside. And what's very interesting is, once again, that first bullish move to the upside from the bottom was around 40% approximately before we began the next short-term correction. And if you're looking from the current low up to the recent high, that has been a bullish move to the upside of around 40% approximately. Now, I want to make it clear that just because we saw something happen in the past, it doesn't guarantee it's going to happen exactly the same again in the future. But all I'm saying is, as of right now, on the larger time frames, there's not much reason to be overly bearish. Remember, it is important to distinguish between different time frames. For example, on the smaller time frames like the 4-hour chart, yes, I was leaning a little bit more bearish over the past 2 days. And yes, over those past 2 days, we have been playing out some short-term bearish price action. But on the larger time frames, as of right now at least, this is only just short-term bearish price action in what could be a longer-term uptrend if we form a higher low on the chart. So basically, the Bitcoin price needs to bounce at a price higher than around 33,000. And if that happens, if we finally put in a new higher low, then we have technically confirmed an uptrend on the daily time frame, because we already have our first higher high. All we're waiting on now is, once again, a higher low to form. And when you're zooming out to the 4-day time frame for Bitcoin, of course, we are still seeing this bullish signal that I've been talking about over the past few days. And so as of right now, this short-term cool-off in the price of Bitcoin does not change what is happening on the larger time frames on the big picture here. For this parabolic stop and reverse indicator to flip back into the red, so basically for us to see another bearish signal, we would have to break below these green dots, which is sitting at around 33,000. So once again, we'd need to put in a new lower low on the chart in order for this to look bearish again on the larger time frames like the 4-day chart. But until then, technically speaking, according to the charts, we are leaning slightly more bullish than we are bearish. Not to mention here on the 3-day time frame, we've already confirmed a bullish cross in the 3-day MACD. And the last time we saw this happen, when the MACD was in negative territory, territory was back in July 2021. And then, of course, we saw a bullish cross in the 3-day MACD during the beginning of October 2021, but that was when the MACD was in positive territory, which basically means it's not as significant as if it's in negative territory because it has slightly less room to the upside. But even that bullish cross in the beginning of October turned out to be a great bullish signal for the price of Bitcoin as well. And on top of that, we cannot forget about the breakout in the 3-day RSI that we saw around 1 to 2 weeks ago. And you can see in these previous examples that that usually has a similar outcome to a bullish cross in the 3-day MACD. But something very important to keep an eye on is what is happening in the stock market right now. Here is the S&P 500 index. And yesterday, we did end up seeing another red day, which resulted in a red day in the Bitcoin price. And because of that, the S&P 500 index broke below this line of support, which was coming in at around 4,450. So technically speaking, that is a short-term bearish signal. But when you're looking in the Fibonacci levels, first of all, that previous level of support that I just mentioned was the 38.2% Fibonacci level, and that is the second most important Fibonacci level. And as of yesterday, the S&P 500 index held the 50% level as support, and that is coming in at around 4.4K. And then anything below that, we have the most important Fibonacci level, which is the golden pocket, coming in at around 4,350 approximately. And in case you're new to the channel, the reason why we're looking at the stock market is because most of the time, the stock market and crypto prices are usually pretty correlated with each other, meaning that if we see a major crash in the stock market, for example, that usually results in a lot of bearish price action for Bitcoin and the overall crypto market. But then when we see a recovery in the stock market, usually we see a recovery in the Bitcoin price, as we've seen over the past couple of weeks or so. So it is definitely worth noting that if we happen to see another major crash in the stock market, for example, then that could throw some of these bullish signals out the window for Bitcoin. So definitely keep that in mind. Anyway, if you found this video useful, make sure to drop a like down below. And if you're new to the channel, you might as well subscribe with notifications turned on so that you don't miss out on any of these important updates that I post every single day. And before you click off, I've got 2 videos popping up on your screen right here. I've got a full trading tutorial video showing you how to open long positions and short positions. And I've also got a passive income video which shows you how you can earn more money on your crypto holdings. But anyway, that is it for this update. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.